Because they flat out said they don't like Diddy going into it. They don't have a favorable opinion. One guy said he believed Diddy has enough money to buy his way out of jail.
Combs was paying very close attention to those jurors, and at times he was nodding his head in agreement with his attorney, Mark Agnifilo, when he would challenge or question some of those jurors and whether they really have the ability to be impartial.
One prospective juror said that he couldn't guarantee that he wouldn't be able to smoke marijuana for all 8 to 10 weeks of the trial.
It almost appeared that some people just did not want to be a part of this jury. In fact, one woman said that she, quote, is a sensitive person who has been known to pass out and not speak coherently when she is shown sexual imagery.
What if the jury deciding Diddy's fate is more controversial than Diddy himself? This isn't just a courtroom drama. It's a full-blown power struggle playing out in real time. Criminal records, assault allegations, jurors who've seen the evidence before the trial even started. Some of them were victims, others were once criminals, and yet they're being handed the power to decide whether Diddy walks free or dies behind bars. And here's the part no one's talking about. If this jury is unstable, biased, or even slightly compromised, the entire trial could collapse like a house of cards. This video is your inside look at the real chaos happening behind the scenes of the biggest trial in hip-hop history. Let's get into it. One juror admitted that he had been assaulted by police in his 20s, a fact the prosecution said made him biased, but the defense argued he's grown since then. And just like that, he was allowed to stay. Another juror, a pilot for American Airlines, he flat out said, "The LA music lifestyle is very different than how I was raised. I've already heard too much about Diddy. I don't know if I can be fair." Even after admitting to hearing about the allegations and having a potential bias, the judge still considered keeping him in. And then there's a woman who faced an attempted SA just 3 years ago and felt law enforcement didn't do enough. She even wrote in her questionnaire, "P. Diddy has a lot of money. He could probably buy his way out." Guess what? She was dismissed, but not before the defense and prosecution fought over whether she could set her trauma aside. This is the kind of jury being built to decide a case that could put Diddy behind bars for life. One of the wildest questions being asked was this: have you ever posted anything about Diddy? Or even liked a post about him on social media? In today's world, where everyone's online, how many people haven't? A man was dismissed after admitting he read a USA Today article about the case. Another was tossed out because he smoked weed the night before court and said it would be hard not to during the trial. Meanwhile, others with way more serious concerns were allowed to stay. This is where people started raising red flags. Because if this is the vetting process for a federal trial, how fair can the outcome really be? Here's the elephant in the courtroom: the Cassie video. CNN obtained and released footage of Diddy dragging, hitting, and kicking Cassie Ventura in a hotel hallway.
I want to say when all the jurors, there were like 30-something jurors that were called to the stand to answer extra further questions to see if they can qualify to be jurors on this case. Every single time someone brought up the hotel video, okay, not every single time, but many a times I was staring at Diddy and he would visibly shake his head when people were describing the hotel video with Cassie.
The same video his lawyers fought to exclude. But jurors have already seen it. Some admitted it in court. One even said, "You can't unsee that. It's already in my head." The defense fought hard to have them removed. But the judge ruled that in a case this big, it's impossible to find jurors who've seen nothing. And just like that, people who've already seen Diddy in what looks like clear abuse are now on the panel. Let that sink in. Here's where the conspiracy starts to creep in. There are whispers. Insiders saying Diddy's team isn't panicking about these biased jurors. Why? Because if the verdict goes badly, they can argue the jury was compromised from the start, that it was never fair, that it was built to bring him down. And they might not be wrong. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Diddy is facing decades behind bars. If even one accusation sticks, the fallout won't just destroy his career. It could shake the entire music industry. And he knows it. That's why his lawyers are going after every angle, not just defending against the allegations, but attacking the entire process. They've already argued that the prosecution is trying to criminalize a consensual lifestyle, that Diddy didn't coerce women. He lived an open, wild, and adult life that others willingly joined.
P. Diddy party. This is what happens to the white man. When they come to one of my parties, this is what happens to them.
But prosecutors say otherwise. They claim he lured women and men in with fame and money, then trapped them with fear and violence. The so-called freak-offs weren't parties. They were setups. Here's the truth. No one in the courtroom will say out loud, this jury isn't just deciding Diddy's fate. They're deciding whether the entire system of music, celebrity, and abuse gets held accountable. And if Diddy falls, you can bet others will follow. Usher, Scooter Braun, even Jay-Z has been whispered about in back rooms. So you better believe there are people in power trying to control the outcome. And one of the easiest ways to do that? Manipulate the jury. Plant just enough instability. Let just enough bias slip through. And suddenly, the verdict becomes in favor of Diddy. At this point, Diddy isn't just fighting accusers. He's fighting the clock. Every new juror added to the pool brings a new risk, a new unknown. And if this jury isn't locked down soon, or if just one juror is exposed for bias after the trial ends, this whole case could collapse. Retrial, public fury, total media meltdown. And Diddy? He gets to say he was set up. Again. So the question is this justice? Or just another Hollywood production in a courtroom costume? Because one thing's for sure, this trial isn't about the truth anymore. It's about control. And the people sitting in those jury chairs, they may just be the most dangerous part of this whole story. So what do you think? Is this really justice playing out? Or just another power game behind closed doors? With a jury like this, with this much baggage, bias, and backroom tension, anything can happen. And if even one juror flips, folds, or gets exposed, this whole case could implode. Because at the center of this trial isn't just Diddy. It's every name that's protected him, and every secret they're still trying to bury. And trust me, this is just the beginning. Subscribe now and turn on notifications, because I'll be breaking down daily updates, evidence leaks, courtroom bombshells, and everything the mainstream media won't tell you about the Diddy trial. The truth is coming out, one day at a time. So stay locked in, and I'll see you in the next one.